any action, 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 any
Action Sportscast. I'm your producer Martin, joined by your local Las Vegas handicappers, Effie.
What is up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Any Action Sportscast, where we talk all things MMA, UFC, gambling wise. It's your boy Effie and your producer Martin on the ones and twos.
Yeah, what's going on in the Action Sportscast? What's going on, Effie? How you doing?
Dude, I'm psyched, man. We killed it last week, our first edition of the podcast on the year. We ended up going 5-1 plus 5-4 units, bro.
Dude, that's crazy. I love when the lock of the night hits because that's where I put most of my money, real life money. I know we got this unit playing going on, but guess what? We're keeping the house again, boys.
It was just one of those weekends where not only did we kill it, obviously, on the UFC Vegas 46 card, but we killed it in NFL. We hit the Bills, we hit the Chiefs, and we hit the Rams. So you know I had to rep them on the pod today. I'm saying, dude, follow if you're new to the show, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. But also follow us on Twitter, AnyAction_. We give out picks for not just MMA, we give out picks for NFL. Pretty soon here, college basketball. And yeah, man, just super pumped to talk about all things gambling, especially UFC 270. But first, let's recap our bets, Martin, for UFC Vegas 46, and we're gonna run through them just real fast. We went 5-1. The first bet of the night was Court McGee minus 115, 2 units to win 1.73, and he killed it. A lot of people thought Ramiz Brahimaj was going to be the better grappler there, but nope. Court McGee proved to be the stronger, savvy veteran, just dominated, looked easy. You love it when it's easy, no sweat, Martin, when you don't have to worry about it. It's not close. That was a clean sweep, 3 rounds to 0. Court McGee gets it done to start the year off. After that, we had Vyacheslav Borishev, Slavaklaus, the striking coach from Team Alpha Male. Actually didn't look good to start. I thought he was actually kind of wavering, but dude, ends the fight with a vicious body shot to the ribs. Drops the guy, crumbles the guy. Minus 180, 1.8 units to win 1, cashes. The start of night 2-0. We then go to Raw Dog Brandon Royval in with somewhat controversy of a fight where I don't know about you, dude, but I thought he tapped. When I saw it live, I thought he tapped. What do you think?
Dude, that's interesting. If you run it in slow motion, there's no doubt in your mind that, I mean, if you're saying he didn't tap, there's no way. You just fool yourself. There's definitely an argument for him tapping, and he definitely tapped. I mean, and afterwards, you notice how he looked at the referee to almost see if the referee was going to call the fight or what the referee thought about that. I mean, what do you think? Right,
dude, like, exactly. To me, it looked like he went to tap and then was like, oh, wait, no, I can get out. And then just, like, kept fighting. And then the ref didn't call it, shout out to Mark Smith. But I thought Brandon lost on the cards. And it was funny, me and you were on the Discord. And I was like, F this, F that. Like, what the hell? He tapped. But then I wasn't even looking at the screen, and you hit the horn, like, and I looked up, and he had his hand up. He had won the decision. I was like, oh, I'll take it, man, because he definitely tapped. So I don't want to hear anything about robbery. Yep, so there you go, 3-0 to start the night, man. Pretty unreal. At that point, we were pretty happy. Brandon Royval minus 170, 1.7 units to win 1 hits, which brings us to Katlyn Chikagian versus Jennifer Maia. Now, Jennifer, this fight went exactly as planned. We had not only Katlyn Chikagian straight, we have Katlyn Chikagian via decision minus 120, 1.2 units to win 1. She gets to the decision. She ends up breaking the record for most UFC wins without getting a finish. 11 straight decision wins. Just hell of a gatekeeper, GOAT gatekeeper. I heard her contract though is up, and there's a little issue about renewing it with
man, that's
UFC.
Interesting. Let's just chime in a little bit about that. What do you think about that? I kind of feel so bad for her, man.
Well, she's in an interesting spot where she just like beats all the prospects, like all the up and coming people the UFC wants to maybe fight for a belt. She'll beat them, but then she can't beat Valentina. There's no way she's gonna beat Shevchenko ever in life. Will she ever beat her? Never. But to me, she's, dude, if UFC doesn't re-sign her, that's like, I think that's a loss. I think that's an L by the UFC. She's a quality fighter, man. She's world class in my opinion, but she just can't get over that hump. And I think the UFC is gonna have to decide if they want to keep her around or not, man. I think that's gonna be interesting. She's represented by the same agency as Francis Ngannou, so there's a little tension there.
Oh my gosh! And I didn't know that. And that being said, I don't think she gets re-signed because guess who they just did that to? Who? Kevin Lee. His manager is the same, and Kevin Lee said there were some politics involved, and when you watch Dana's White interview, the post fight when he was talking about it, it didn't seem like they were interested. And you know what? She's gonna make her money. Bellator's gonna sign her. She'll make the same, if not more, money. The thing is that she loves UFC. There's nothing like UFC promotion. And then if she becomes a champion or even has that route, you know, if you're in the UFC, it's like a gamble. You know, you want to be in Bellator, these other organizations. Sure, you're gonna get paid some good money, but if you make it to the UFC, there's a big chance that you can make some great money.
Especially if you get that belt, man. Especially if you get that belt, and she's right there. She's right on the door, and she knows it. She knows the quality of fighter she is, But to your point, I don't think she comes back, and I think she ends up in Bellator, where she will win the belt, whichever weight class she chooses to be in. I'm calling it right now if that happens. If she goes to Bellator, she will be a champ.
Dude, you know, that's good route for her. Good route for her. Maybe she goes to Bellator. Maybe she comes really nasty, and maybe a future route down the UFC sometime in the future.
Definitely, dude, definitely. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about the main event. And this is actually our only loss on the night. We had Giga Chikaze, the Giga Man, ends up getting his ass whipped, bro, badly, just straight demolished for 25 straight minutes. Me and you were astonished how he wasn't getting finished, but you know, shout out to everyone out there that had Qatar plus 200. That was a sharp bet. It was one of those performances where he just reminded you, like Ariel Hawani says, like y'all must have forgot. But dude, he was just throwing everything at him. Those double elbows he was throwing. I will say when Giga tripped and fell, like to me the fight was over. Like he looked so gassed. He was getting just controlled at mercy on the ground. Calvin did his job. Shout out to New England. But yeah, man, what do you think about that main event and the way it went?
That fight was another reminder of no matter how confident you are in a fighter winning, because I think before I was telling you I want to put a bet on Giga, you know, just straight up money line, but it's just another reminder of you can never be too confident, and don't trust the money line, don't trust the books. You know, you can't rely on MMA math. Yeah, Giga was on a great dominant performance. He was on a good little run, but I counted out Qatar. I was one of those people who counted him out. You know, plus 180 seemed right for me. I didn't even take him. Most public didn't take him, you know, but that was a good fight and good stuff for Qatar. Cater.
Yeah, man, hell of a performance for sure. But that brings us to the lock of the night, man. For the third straight card, I should say, we hit our lock of the night, dude. And it feels good, man. It feels good. It's never any crazy odds, too. We're not giving out minus 500, calling it the lock of the night. None of that. Dude, so we hit Giga Chikaze, Calvin Kattar over 2.5 rounds, minus 170 for 5 units. At first, I was worried because Calvin was putting it on Giga, dude. We were counting down the seconds, actually. The last 30 seconds were like 30, 29, 28. And he gets it done, man. Shout out to Giga for being a straight savage, a warrior, a human punching bag. And I will say this, Martin. Do you just have to get your ass kicked by Max Holloway to become like really good, to level up? Because now Brian Ortega and Calvin have gotten sunned by Max Holloway, and they just come back and look like $1 million.
I think he just had one of the best nights of his career. He was just on it. I think he had a good training camp. I think the big long break, sometimes it does favor fighters because, you know, people can relate when you're into something so much like a hobby. You take a break, you want to do it, you know, you can't wait to do it. It builds, you know, the love for it, the passion. It almost brings it back, and I think you saw it there. He could have gone 5 more rounds.
Yeah, right? It looked like he didn't even fight. At the end of the fight, I was like, oh, man. It looked like he didn't even take any damage. Like, hell of a performance. Way to start the year. Shout out to Calvin Kattar. Shout out to anyone out there that bet him. But we go 5-1 on the night. We finished UFC Vegas, was it 69? No, what was it? I forget the number of the card, but 46. UFC Vegas 46.
Yeah, UFC Vegas 46.
Up 5 units, 5.4 or something like that. But out the gate, we're positive in the green. That's all that matters to me, man.
Thank you, Any Action Sportscast. You seem like someone that knows what they're talking about.
And so with that, dude, it's time, bro, to talk about this week's pay-per-view card. The first pay-per-view of 2022 for the UFC. We have the heavyweight strap on the line, dude. CYRIL GANE versus Francis Ngannou. Now, there's an interim champ versus...
Dude, I can't wait. Dude. I can't freaking wait. Dude, it's a freaking fight of 2 Goliaths, man. This is insane, dude. I can't wait. I'm just as pumped as a John Jones fight, heavyweight fight. I mean, I just can't wait.
It literally doesn't get any bigger than this. figuratively and physically. These guys are huge. Like you just said, Goliath. These guys are chiseled, dude. Greek gods. Like we were just talking before the podcast. Like, damn, these guys make me want to hit the gym like ASAP right now. Let's get done recording and hit the gym. Like these guys are embarrassing us, man. But nah. So the odds, the way they currently sit, this is a gambling show. CYRIL Gane 10-0 at -155. Francis Ngannou sitting at 16-3 plus 135. So Francis Ngannou, the one punch king, is underdog money, man. And we have to talk about the progression of this line. It opened pick'em, even money, -115, -115. Then it started to move a little bit, gone. And dude, we talked about it even up until I think Saturday night after the UFC card ended. Gane was -130. He shot all the way to -160 the next day. Money's coming in big on Gane, dude, and I don't blame him. I think Gane wins, dude. Who you leaning?
I'm almost upset because I wanted to get GANE early, man.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get him so early. Now I feel like if you wanted to get him straight up, you're a little too late. Yeah, you can risk the units, but this fight is so good where, I mean, someone like me, what did you say? He's -165. I just can't lay it down because there's always that one punch from Ngannou, and I'm trying to keep up with the embedded episodes. I'm trying to see which fighter is on their game, and I'm really focused on these. I think I rewind them like 10 times each time because I just need to know who's on their game. And dude, they're both on their game. I can't tell, but I'm on your page. We've been talking about this. I've been talking about CYRIL Gane. I'm taking him. I'm leaning him as well. I think he submits him. I don't think he knocks out Ngannou. I think he's gonna do what he did to Derek Lewis. He's gonna take the keeping your distance approach. You expect to see a lot of leg kicks. Expect to see him grappling against the cage, and expect to see him take him down. We'll see if Ngannou can defend. Yeah, people said, oh, you should see how he improved. He's improving. You just see him sprawl against Stipe. He just sprawled. All he did was sprawl.
Yeah, man.
He was the weakest wraparound I've seen. I mean, you could see right here, Ngannou, he sprawls down, and you can see him. He has Stipe down on the ground. And look at the wraparound when he tries to go around. It's a real weak block on the elbow. I mean, that's a high school move, and it just shows that he can run drills, you know. But I'm excited for it. I could go on and on. I'm pumped.
He did pull this sprawl off during the Stipe fight. I felt like everyone just like, oh my god, Ngannou's like changed. No one could beat him. He's unbeatable. He's here and he's gonna reign forever. And then meanwhile, you had CYRIL Gane, who's systematically taking down these heavyweights like punch by punch. 22 rounds in the UFC, 22 rounds won, never lost a single round. The guy is just a monster, man. But dude, we haven't talked about the drama of the head coach. Francis Ngannou was fighting an ex-training partner, and like, to me, it's not even like it doesn't sound like it's Francis versus CYRIL Gane beef. It sounds like it's Francis versus Fernando Lopez, the coach. It sounds like like the coach was like, dude, he had an ego problem, and
dude, the coach is the coach, man. I think Francis was the humble one. I've seen the embedded. The coach, I think last thing he said was they just went separate ways, and he didn't want to train with them, and he said no, and I think that hurt the coach's feelings.
Oh man, just think about that coach though. He had Francis Ngannou just randomly walk into his gym one day like, hey, I want to fight. Like, what the hell, this guy's huge.
Like, Francis wanted to box, and he said, no, yeah. I want you to do MMA.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that brings me to another point, dude. You don't think Francis has distractions outside this fight going into this fight? He like this whole narrative that he has beef with Dana White, and he won't fight his contract. He won't renew his contract if he wins. Leaves me to believe if he loses, he might not get re-signed. We might see the last of Francis Ngannou. To me, there's a little bit added of high stakes here because Francis, you can watch 4 of his last 5 fights in literally 1 minute, Martin, because like he's knocking guys out that fast. So there's no real point into like studying tape or anything or like anything like that. It's like, oh yeah, he's either gonna clip you or not. But my point is that he's so exciting, and there's a chance he might not be in the UFC in a year from now or like after this fight if he loses.
Well, okay, so that argument is going around, and the narrative is a good one. However, look at it like this. People have to look at it like he has already lost. Say he lost. You're in Ngannou's shoes. You don't got an argument, right? You don't got an argument. That's what the UFC is hoping, right? They're hoping for him to lose. And in that case, if Ngannou loses, he will be humbled and he will take the same contract. He will take the $500,000-$600,000 because Bellator won't offer him that. PFL won't offer him that. The UFC will, and he'll go back to the UFC. So as far as the distraction thing, yeah, this is a huge distraction. He needs to win, because if he doesn't win, it's going back to his old contract. I don't think this is the last of Ngannou from the UFC. I think he's forever will be with the UFC, but he needs to win if he wants to back up his talk for the argument of the contract.
Dude, and so I'm saying there's added pressure, and that's the last thing you need in going into a title fight. And then you add the fact that CYRIL Gane's coach obviously knows Francis well. But we'll say Eric Nixick and the guys over at Extreme Couture have done a wonderful job with Francis Ngannou. You can see the improvements in his game. But this also will be in the big cage, not the small cage, like the Stipe fight. So he will have a little hard time getting closer to Gane, and that makes me like Gane a little more. Which brings me to my overall conclusion of this fight, is that I had to bet CYRIL Gane, Martin. Any action has action on CYRIL Gane. Now, we took it at -140 for 2-point units to win 2. Okay, now the line, it might swing either way. Who knows? Maybe on fight day, a ton of Ngannou money comes in. We can get a better price. We might throw down some more. But I felt good at 140. I felt like it was going to keep going. Because I like that at -130. And as soon as I saw -140, I had to lay it down before it, obviously right now it reached my 155, 160 area. But I'm glad I caught out $140. Put it in the 2.8 units. And also, Martin, you said you think he wins by sub, but we have any action money on Ngannou. Gane via knockout +165. And I feel good about taking that 1 unit shot on Gane via KO by 165, because I feel he's going to slow him down, gas him out, and just finish him the way he did Derek Lewis, kind of. And man, though, it's just your heart's going to be racing watching that fight, because I don't blame anyone out there for betting Francis Ngannou, especially at plus money. Bet him via knockout out there if you like him. It's just I can't find myself to do it. I think Gane's a better mixed martial artist here. I think the footwork's too much, and I feel good about these 2 picks, man. So with that, we'll go ahead and talk about the co-main, another title fight, dude. We have Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo, and the line currently sits Brandon Moreno -180, Deiveson Figueiredo +155. Now that's interesting to me, dude, because this is a trilogy. Now the first one was a draw. The second one was Moreno via sub finishing Figueiredo. And the third one's coming up now. But if you look at the odds, Figgy was minus like 300, then -250. Now he's the dog. And to me, this screams value. Although I do think Moreno has eaten and taken Figgy's best shots in both those fights and proven not to obviously get finished. I just think that something was off in that second fight, man. I've had a feeling all week, like you said, that you have to keep up with the embeddeds. I have to see Figgy at the scale. If he makes weight, Martin, and looks good, I'm laying the hammer on this pick. I think he's a better fighter than Moreno, and he won that first fight, and he would have won if it wasn't for a nut shot. He got a point taken away, which is why it was a draw. And if you look at that fight, man, he looked good. And then for something happened in that second fight. I don't know if it was a weight cut issue or what. But if you watch, like you said, if you watch the embeddeds, that in that second fight, he cried after making weight. Like he just started crying, like a ton of emotion, because how bad the weight cut was. And I wish I would have saw that, like, and it would have bet on Moreno. But so for me, if Figgy looks good, I think he's gonna take this fight. The Mexican. Well, we'll say this: the Brandon Moreno has the advantage. He's younger. He has a reach advantage. He's more experienced, even though he's been a pro for less time than Figgy. But I just think that the changing camp. I love how the Brazilian Figueiredo decided to switch his whole camp to Henry Cejudo's gym at in Arizona, and I think that's going to pay dividends. Even though we didn't see it pay off with Weili Zhang against Rose, but I thought Weili looked good. So I think teaming up with Henry Cejudo is going to be a good thing here. And we have action, Martin, on the dog. We're going to take Deiveson Figueiredo 1 unit to win 1.51 or 1.55 at +155. And like I said, we're going to wait to see him at those scales because we might add more. I had to get this now because I think the line's going to drop. I think more people are going to think like I am right now, and they're going to lay the dog money here. What do you think?
I'll tell you what. Take Figgy right now because the line is going to drop. It might even out to +115 to pick him. You're talking about the weight cut. pay attention to the embedded. I think he's having a great weight cut. If you notice, if the last fight, he was just very sloppy. The weight cut, his camp, and you could tell because of the way he celebrated Moreno. I'm not trying to be a hater. I didn't like the way he celebrated his win. He was almost like picking Brandon Moreno up, almost like clout sucking him up, you know, like taking his moment as a loser. You know, like, do your thing, get off the ring, you lost. If I lost, I would be devastated. I wouldn't be picking up my loser and like this guy beat my butt and showing him around the arena. Because one thing my wrestling coach taught me was never hug your opponent at the end. It's like saying thank you for whipping my butt. You know, I'll say thank you for whipping my ass. He said, don't hug him, shake his hand, call it a day. But he's having a good weight cut. He even said, hey, you've been holding my belt. You know, I'm here to bring it back. I think he's having a good weight cut. He doesn't look too fainted. It looks like he looks very good. I'm taking Figgy early as well. I'm taking him right now.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. What was with that? Why did he like that? Reminded me of recently Amanda Nunes. She didn't really look like she cared either when she lost her belt. I was surprised at that. Figueiredo's nickname is the God of War, and he's out here hugging his opponent after getting finished, tapping no less. And dude,
yeah, more money, more problems.
Dude, you were so right about how like I was surprised at that too. But I mean, you like to see it, man. You know, get on these.
You like to see good sportsmanship.
Yeah, you about to say, get on these guys.
That's on a whole nother level.
For sure. But I was surprised. You don't have that killer instinct if you're doing that. Like what? But I like Figgy, man. I think he's a live dog. This whole card actually is sprinkled throughout with dogs, man, that I think can win. Even, I mean, dude, the main event we just talked about, Francis is a dog. You're telling me he can't win? Of course he could win. Dude, you're going to have to pick and choose your shots here on this card for sure. So that's that on oh, actually, no, Martin. We actually have more action on that fight. We have Figueiredo versus Moreno over 3.5 rounds, 1.15 units to win one. I think this goes more than, obviously 3.5 rounds. Might go to the late finish or go to the cards. Figgy might lose the decision. He might win one, but I think he wins the decision or leads to a finish on Moreno.
I think it's Figgy KO. I think if you're gonna take it, I think you definitely take it KO. No disrespect to Brandon Moreno, the babyface assassin killer, but I think we're seeing a really nasty Figgy. You've seen it the last couple fights of him almost knocking him out. I think with him primed up and on his game, you're going to see KO and the new.
I will say this to the viewers out there.
Should they make a term up about returning champs? What do you think? You know, like, because it's not and the new, you know, it's like.
Well, I think DC one time
and
was.
And the returning! I don't know.
I think DC one time was like, and new again. He kept saying
and funny.
New
yeah,
again.
There you go. See, it makes more sense.
And new again. But no, I will say this to the viewers: if you're gonna bet Figgy via KO, be aware, or even sub, because he's never been knocked out. He's got that Mexican granite chin, like they could take a punch, bro. But we might see something different here. I think the energy of the crowd. Oh yeah, another thing. It's in Anaheim, and the energy of the crowd is definitely gonna be behind Moreno. You're gonna see a ton of Mexican flags on the broadcast. Trust me. And you
make that one of my official picks, because. I want the primary audience to take your picks, but make that one of my official picks. I'm gonna take Figgy KO.
Yeah. I think actually
and straight up. I'm going both ways.
Yeah, so you'll be with me on the straight up.
-175 on Brandon Moreno. That's shocking to me.
Dude, so far there's 2 fights we've talked about. We have 4 bets. We have a ton of action on this card, man. We're overexposed to the max right here. Like, we need a good week right here. But speaking of you mentioning your bets, I think we're going head to head on this next one, man. We have the American Cody Stamann taking on the Dagestani Said Nurmagomedov. Now the line currently sits Nurmagomedov -200. Cody Stamann come back at +170. And I think me and you are on opposite sides here, man. What do you think?
Okay, so this is gonna be a new thing I do. Take the Nurmagomedovs. Take them. No, this has nothing political, nothing religious. Take these Dagestanian fighters. It's gonna be my new thing. I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take them all day long. I think these guys are on a whole nother. I think wrestling is on a whole nother level of MMA. I think these guys, they live, breathe, eat wrestling. If you don't wrestle in their country, you're a girl. That's what they say. I didn't say it. They said it. I didn't say it.
That Sambo style, dude. Those guys are killers. But I'm glad you said everything that you just said, because if you're a casual out there, I'm not calling you a casual, bro, but if you're a casual out there, you might see that name Nurmagomedov. You might think, oh, Dagestani wrestler, he's got to be, trying to take this fight to the ground. But you'd be surprised. Cody Stamen.
Don't tell me he's from Ohio.
Cody Stamen is actually probably the better wrestler here, dude. Nurmagomedov, this one, and I agree with everything you said. I love the Dagestanis and I love betting on them. My favorite.
You're talking about accolades wrestling for America. These guys' wrestling is like is a whole nother level.
He doesn't wrestle in his fights. He gets taken down. He's a striker. This guy fights like Zabit. Zabit's a kickboxer. There's two different types of Dagestanis. Sometimes they're kickboxing oriented. Sometimes they're sambo wrestling style. But they're all good at wrestling, no doubt, like you said. But this guy, I think there's a Russian tax being paid here. I think the odds should be closer to -150 Nurmagomedov. And so with that, I think there's value on Cody Stamen here. I think he's going to be able to drag this out, which is why you see the over 2.5 rounds at minus money. It's like -200 right now. And the books are telling you it's going to drag out because I will say this. I think Nurmagomedov throws a ton of spinning kicks. He throws spinning strikes in general, back fists, elbows. He's very active. He's very unorthodox in the striking, and he's dangerous. And so who knows, Cody could get clipped and get knocked out early here, but I do think he's going to weather the storm and just push him back to the warning track and get him in the clinch up against the cage. And I think he could drag out the upset here. So I'm going to go with another dog, dude. But I'm going to sprinkle here. I'm not going to go big. Not even a whole unit here. I'm going to go 0.5 units, half a unit on Cody Stamen because I love the value at +165 to beat said Nurmagomedov. We're going head-to-head, man. What do you think?
I mean, it's a good that all that information I had no idea. I think so. Well, you think we're gonna see a wrestling match, but you're telling me we might even see a striking match. I can't wait for the head-to-head. But I'm gonna fade my pick.
Which brings us to the last fight on the main card. It's actually the first fight if you buy the pay-per-view. The first fight you're gonna see, Michel Pereira versus Andre Filio. Now the line currently sits Andre +240, Michel Pereira -300. That's a little steep for my liking, but I think you were saying you like that for a parlay.
I like this for a parlay. I think, especially Andre stepping in. I wouldn't say too last notice. I mean, he is a tough fighter. It all depends on how active these fighters are, but I think we're going to see a different Michel here. I think we're not going to see, like we said last couple cards ago, a showboaty type of fighter. I think we're going to see someone evolved. I think we're going to see a mature type of Michel for the first time, and I'm not sure if you talked about it, but I think it does go decision. I think we're, if not to the 4th, 5th round. But I'm very confident in this pick to throw into a parlay, something to fluffing up your picks.
Dude, I would say I would agree, but I was watching tape on Andre, man, and he does have power in his hands. If you look at his current record, I mean, he has some pretty good wins over in UAE Warriors.
14-3, I think.
Look at this.
Currently.
Round 1, finish. Round 1, finish. Round 1, finish. Round 2, finish.
Oh, wow.
This guy finishes people. I don't know if you saw, he was the guy that went viral for.
But Michel's got I think he's got the reach advantage. I don't think we're gonna see a fist fight. I think we're gonna see Michel keep distance.
Yeah, I think the style plays out. I think it's gonna be hard for him to close distance. But I will say this: Andre's the guy that went viral for just viciously knocking out James Vick. James Vick got cut by the UFC in this first fight after was against Andre, and oh my god, dude, the highlight of that fight is brutal. So he has power in his hands, but like you said, I think he's gonna be able to avoid. I think Michel's gonna be able to avoid and keep distance in this fight, and I do think it goes over, and decision's probably a safe bet. As far as me, I won't be touching the fight. Our podcast won't be officially having any action on this fight. And with that wraps up the main card fights for UFC 270 as far as all of our bets for that portion of the card. Go ahead and take the time to shout out our podcast. Go ahead and make sure you follow us on Twitter at AnyAction_. Hit that like button. Make sure you share it with anyone that is into MMA, man, for sure. It helps us out a lot.
Also, make sure you guys follow our Discord, AnyAction LV. Effie's always on there on the bet section. If you guys haven't hopped on the Discord movement yet, I mean, most of you guys are if you're probably on YouTube, but if you haven't, I'd recommend hopping on that Discord movement. It's not a matter of if you'll get that on your phone. It's just a matter of when you'll get that on your phone. Why not start up by using us any action? There's a bet section on there. I mean, all week long, I think Epi's been putting, units down on football plays, and he'll put it on there, and he's been hitting like crazy. I mean, if you got $5, you got $10, you got $100, you'll be doubled up. Whatever you want right now.
You're looking at someone that bet against Nick Saban and Bill Belichick in the same week and hit both in national championship and playoff games. I feel like I deserve a plaque for that. I felt so good after hitting that. I feel like never gonna happen again. Two GOAT coaches.
Thank you, Any Action Sportscast. You seem like someone that knows what they're talking about.
So yeah, and I just, it's all gonna come crashing down right here on the UFC card because there's no way our luck can keep up that bad. But with that, we're going to go ahead and talk about there's like a term for it, like the main event of the prelims, the headliner, I guess you could say. It's gonna be Rodolfo Vieira versus Wellington TURMAN. Rodolfo at 8-1, Wellington TURMAN at 17-5. The line currently sits Rodolfo, I believe he's around the -260 range. TURMAN coming back at +210. Now a ton of money has been coming in on TURMAN. Martin, I'm not sure if you know who Rodolfo Vieira is, but dude, he's a BJJ beast, monster. He's like the most accomplished, most renowned Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner in the UFC.
I think that's the second most feared, skill to learn is BJJ. I think it goes wrestling, and then it goes BJJ. If you know both, oh my gosh, deadly combination. But I did not know that.
Yeah, and so the story with him is, he's this world-renowned BJJ guy, and he comes into the UFC, gets tapped in his first fight, dude. He got tapped, and if you were to hear the call on like the broadcasters, they're like, oh my god, Fluffy Hernandez taps him. It was pretty insane. It's pretty shocking. What happened in that fight was he just had a horrific dump, an adrenaline dump, gas tank, whatever you want to call it. He just didn't have it. He just got submitted, man. It was crazy to watch live. It was one of those fights I'll never forget watching. But he bounced back, looked great against Dustin Stolfus, looked like Rodolfo Vieira 2.0. But man, he's fighting Wellington TURMAN, who, doesn't have the best strength of schedule as far as his opposition, but he's never been submitted. He's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Now, I know not all BJJ belts are equal. Like, if you want to, like, there's no way you can compare Vieira to anyone really in the UFC, maybe other than like Burns. But this guy, I'm telling you, Rodolfo Vieira is a real deal in BJJ. But this is not BJJ. This is MMA. You can elbow a guy on the ground. You can hit people. It's not BJJ. And so I think TURMAN doesn't have to worry about getting tied up here. Or doesn't have to worry, but like he is a little more safe than he would be in just a straight BJJ grappling match. And so with that leads us to our bet that we're gonna have on this fight. I know we didn't have action on that last fight, but we have fight on this fight, or we do have action on this fight. It's gonna be quite a big bet for us. One of our bigger bets of the night, Martin. We're going ahead and gonna take Rodolfo Vieira versus Wellington TURMAN over 1.5 rounds, -105 for 3 units. Now, the line has gotten juiced -130. I think it's this now, -135. So if you guys want to lay that, I still think it's a good play. I think this goes to the cards. I don't think Rodolfo is. I mean, obviously he's live for an early first round submission, but if TURMAN avoids that, I think he might actually pull this fight out. But I really like the over enough to put 3 units on it, Martin. We're going big, man. We're going big on this fight. It's actually a precursor to the rest of the card. But our prelim headliner is going to have 3 units, Vieira TURMAN over 1.5 rounds. Which brings us to our next fight, Michael Morales versus Trevin Giles. Morales coming in at 12-0, Giles at 14-3. The line currently sits the debutante, Michael Morales, -135. He's actually the favorite, making his debut versus Trevin Giles, +115. And we're on the underdog here, Martin. We have action, 1 unit on Trevin Giles. And I think the line's off. Not off. Well, yeah, I do think the line's off. But the main reason I like this pick is, there's this thing going around where, the Contender Series, Martin, we watch it together.
Uh-huh.
I like to fade these people. A lot of people like to fade the Contender Series. I feel like a lot of times they're favored and for no reason, really. Now, in this situation, Morales, obviously he's undefeated, but I don't like the competition he's faced on the Ecuadorian regional scene. I don't think he's fought the level of competition Trevin Giles has. Trevin Giles has been in the UFC. Trevin Giles is going down a weight class in this fight. And so he's obviously handed stronger, bigger, stronger guys. And his weight cut looks good. If you look at the pictures on Instagram, him training, It looks like he's having a great weight cut, so it's not an issue. And the one thing I will say, he's a full-time police officer, so we black the blue here. But no, for real, that is something to know. Like, to know how much can you be training more if you're a full-time police officer. But still, without that, I think there's a huge test for a debutant. Trevin Giles, man, as your first UFC fight, that's a little bit much. I will say Morales has that wrestling in his back pocket, I should say. But he was on the national Ecuadorian wrestling team, so that's cool. He can wrestle for sure. I love betting on wrestlers, but not in this situation. I'm gonna fade him. Go ahead and take Trevin Giles, the underdog. I think the wrong guy's favorited at plus 115 for 1 unit. Which brings us to Matt Frevola versus Genaro Valdez. No action on this fight, Martin. I think we should probably skip it and go ahead, because we have some pretty significant action coming up soon, but not yet. After that, we have Tony Gravely versus Simon Oliveira. No action on that either by Lean Gravely. He's minus 240, and I do think he wins. I think he's better in all areas. I think he can take him down and really control him here. I think that's a parlay piece, maybe. But yeah, I didn't like it at 240 enough to bet at 2.4 units on it straight up. So go ahead and not have any action on that fight.
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna put that on a parlay, because I'm paying attention as if, because I haven't heard you talk about these fights. This is my first time as well hearing you talk about these fights, and I'm gonna put that on one of my parlays with Michelle. I'm gonna do a real wild parlay, and it's gonna be one of those fights that I put in my pick.
Dude, you know how we were talking about underdogs being live on this card earlier? Well, here's another one. This girl has a pretty tough name, so forgive me. Jasmine Jesus versus K Hanson. Now, Jesus coming in at 6-1, Hanson at 7-4. Both these girls are pretty young, pretty in the prospect portion of their career. But I do think I don't say the wrong person's favored. K Hanson's going to be the smaller fighter, and I always love getting plus money on the bigger fighter. Also, Jasmine's fighting out of Vegas, so you love to support the Vegas fighter. But I think that's a parlay piece too. Plus 200, dude, not a bad stab. Not a parlay piece, but a sprinkle, I should say. I think K Hanson has elite jiu-jitsu. Everyone knows her ground game is really good. But bigger, stronger fighter. We'll see. We'll see how the weight difference, or not the weight difference, but the height difference plays out in that fight. After that, we have Ronnie Barcelos versus Victor Henry. Now, dude, the line currently sits Barcelos minus 400, Henry plus 310. Barcelos is 1000% a parlay piece. I know the line's steep, but there's no way he loses this fight. Dude, Martin, he's gonna win this fight.
Okay, I'm definitely taking him. Tell me why.
This fight was scheduled just like the Michelle fight for a couple cards ago, but it got rescheduled. Now, back then, you could have got minus 300 on Barcelos. Sure enough, a ton of people came and bet that, and now they get that second chance. The books know they're smarter. They're gonna go ahead and put the line a little steeper, because he's better in all areas. He's a better striker, he's a better grappler, he's a better gas tank, he's better experience. Henry's making his debut. When Henry took the original fight, that was late notice, so now he gets a little more time, to devise a game plan per se. But I don't think it matters. Barcelos actually beat Saad Nurmagomedov earlier in the card, and we were talking about him. Barcelos beat him.
Damn, I didn't know those guys could lose.
And so, all right. He's 16-2. I think this is gonna be an easy dub. He might finish him here. I think the sub prop is live. But yeah, no action here except for he's on a parlay for us later that we'll mention. After that, go ahead and skip the next fight. And Martin, I've been waiting all night, waiting all week, ever since the last card ended, to talk about this fight. ILIA TOPURIA versus Charles Jourdain. Now the line currently sits ILIA TOPURIA minus 500. Charles Jourdain plus 400.
Wow, wow.
Where do I begin? Now, Ilya was supposed to fight Movsar Evloev, another undefeated prospect, another featherweight prospect that I think both those guys, Evloev and Topuria, can be champs in this division. They're dark horses. They're two of my favorite prospects to watch. I wish they could buy stocks in them so I could just pull all my money in these guys, because I think they're the truth. And they're going to match up with each other so early in the career. I thought it was a mistake. I thought they should have waited, and booked that fight later when they're bigger names. But nope, the UFC wanted to find out which one's a better prospect. And sure enough, Evoliev gets COVID. Fight gets canceled. And I was just like, no, this is the fight. I was looking forward more to that fight than any fight on the card. And I feel like a lot of people were too. But I don't know if you saw that video. Maybe we could pull it up, Jamie. I mean, producer Martin. Of Ilya reacting to the news that Masvidal pulled out. And it looked like a scene out of Narcos, dude. He had like this sweater on with the chain and the glasses with the gold trim. And he just is going off, calling him a rat, like pinche rata, like this and that. You have COVID and you're not undefeated anymore, blah, blah, blah. And he was pissed, man. He was furious. You could tell. And so I was like, okay, this guy is really about that life. He really wants to just kill this guy. Like he was talking about ripping his head off and blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, Charles Jourdain, we talked about him in one of our episodes against Andre Ewell. He had the Sparta kick against him. He looked great, phenomenal. He fought less than a month ago. So it's a quick turnaround. He's taking the opportunity here to, you know, really cash in on his new UFC contract that he signed. It's going to be his first fight in his new contract. But tough matchup, man. What if you look at the tape, if you study tape, what gives Charles Jourdain problems? Wrestlers. Guys that can get him into a body lock, guys that can get to a clinch. And what does Ilya have? Elite grappling, man. He's a beast. I think he's the truth. I think he's well-rounded overall, although Charles Jourdain will be taller. They have the same reach. He's taller by 2 inches, but I don't think it will matter here. I think Ilya absolutely washes this guy. I think he finishes him. And I wish, I remember being, so for starters, the over-under is 1.5 rounds. But I wish I could find a book where I could bet he's going to finish him in 2 minutes. That's how confident I am in Ilia Topuria submitting this guy. It gives me huge Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker vibes, where Dan Hooker is a striker versus a wrestler. Like, you know, like maybe he might be able to clip him and knock him out, and he took it on short notice, and not everyone was rooting for him, but like it was just like, you know, it's very brave of him. Very like, just like Jourdain, he posted, Martin, that meme of Stan Marsh's dad with the wheelbarrow with big balls, and you know, because he gets the marijuana license. Because it's a huge nuts to take this fight. That's why the line's minus 500, dude. The books think he's gonna get killed. And so for me, man, the any actions lock of the night for UFC 270 is Ilia Topuria versus Charles Jourdain under 2.5 rounds.
Dude, you described him such a good breakdown. I'm scared. I'm scared of whatever you just talked about. I closed my eyes. I thought you were describing a serial killer at one point.
Bro, he's good. I mean, he's good. He finishes fights early. If he gets the finish, it's gonna come early. And I just think he's in a great spot where he can get a quick finish and then get a quick turnaround, run it back on another pay-per-view. Because I'm telling you, Martin, that Evolia fight was gonna be a huge opportunity. Whoever won that fight was gonna be in the top 15, top 10 area. And now it kind of got taken away from him. And I think he knows he can go in there and submit him pretty quickly. Like I said, if you watch tape, he gets body locked versus inferior wrestlers than Topuria. So it gives me extreme confidence that I think he's gonna be able to finish him. So for everyone out there, all of our lock of the nights are 5-unit plays. We have 5 units on this under 2.5 rounds minus 145. We also have 5 units, Martin. This is when I saw that we put this bet in last night. I was like, oh man, I probably drank a little bit too much last night. I don't know if I should have put 10 units on one fight. But we have 5 units on Ilia Topuria inside the distance. And that line sits at minus 165.
Is that all your picks?
That's it. We can go ahead and we have a full send parlay coming up.
Let's go ahead and recap the picks for everyone. For the people that just came in for the picks.
You want to take it over from here?
I got the picks right here on the screen. Go ahead and recap and see what you like and see what you're feeling. Absolutely.
This is why you guys tune in. Make sure you hit that like button. Follow us on Twitter. Just thanks so much for tuning in. Share with a friend. It means a lot. Hopefully we can continue to win some money, man. So for the UFC 270, our official picks will be CYRIL Gane minus 140, 2.8 units to win 2. We have Gane via KO, TKO plus 165, 1 unit to win 1.65. We have DEIVESON FIGUEIREDO, the underdog, and new plus 155, 1 unit to win 1.55 units. And we also have the over in that fight. Figueiredo Moreno over 3.5 rounds, 1.15 units to win 1. After that, we go ahead and go to the prelims. We have Rodolfo Vieira versus Wellington tournament over 1.5 rounds, minus 105, 3 units to win 2.85. Then we have Trevin Giles plus 120, 1.1 units to win 1.2. Then we have Cody Stamen. Oh, sorry, no. Cody Stamen's on the main card. Cody Stamen, the underdog, another underdog play. Plus 165, half a unit to win 0.82 units. Then our big bet on this one, ILIA TOPURIA inside the distance, minus 165, 3 units to win 2.8. Our lock of the night.
The lock of the night. I mean, are we gonna stay cozy? So far, we're staying cozy for the winner. I can't wait. I got a question for you, Effie. I mean, you got all these big picks, but there's people out there like me that were very scared. We're very, very tight on our wallet. Out of all those picks, I want you to, besides the lock of the night as being your number one, I want you to give me 1 or 2 more that you say, take these ones.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I could definitely give you a couple, strong ones I feel good about, but I'm just hoping that lock of the night hits. Hope that streak continues. We go 4-0. We haven't missed one yet, man. Shout out to the lock of the night, man. We hope all you guys play that bet. But you said, a couple other ones I feel really good about. I think for sure, I really, 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 really like that Rodolfo Vieira Wellington TURMAN over 1.5 rounds. Like I said, TURMAN's never been finished. I know a ton of sharps that are on TURMAN straight up to win. And if you think he's going to win, it's not going to be under. Rodolfo is not going to get submitted, obviously, himself, even though he did in his first UFC fight. Kind of dumb to say all that now, think about it. But no, I just feel really good about that bet. Feel strong about it. Right now, it's sitting at minus 130. I still feel it's good. I feel like if you can get to a buck minus 135, I would play it up until minus 150. I really feel good about that over. And then you said another one. I would go with ILIA TOPURIA inside the distance, man. If you can get to a book where you can play ILIA TOPURIA inside the distance, take it, man. I'm telling you, he's gonna finish Charles Jourdain. Charles gives his backup too much. He gives his opponents too many opportunities to take that neck, and I think it's gonna cost him here in this fight. 15 minutes is a long time against ILIA. He even said on James Lynch's channel, shout out to James Lynch MMA, about how he doesn't think he's gonna last 5 minutes in there, and he'd be surprised if he makes it past the first round. And I think that's it's showing that he's in there to to put on performance, get that bonus, get out of there quick, unharmed, get a quick fight. By a ranked guy. He's been calling out Dan Ige nonstop, dude. It's I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's funny. I hope they put that fight later in the card, because if it's on the early prelims, that would suck. Because I'm so excited for that fight. I want the night to build to that fight, and it's a high level fight, a high skill level fight. They should be able to put that at least on the prelims. You got any last thoughts on UFC 270, man?
I can't wait. I mean, this almost feels like one of those cards where there's a lot of money to be made, but I'm almost like tentative on where to put my money in. Like, if it's easy money, is Francis Ngannou easy money? No, because I'm leaning GANE. Is Fig easy money? I don't know, because I got doubts that Brandon Moreno can win. So it was one of those cards where I thought I could make some easy cash, but you gave us so much picks. I'm almost confident. I'm gonna put together a few parlays. Speaking of parlays, I mean, I don't think we talked about your full send parlay. You want to let the viewers know what we got going on here?
Yeah, I think it's something we're going to start doing more on the show. We're going to go ahead and try to give you guys just like a crazy parlay. I'm not saying bet big on it, bet anything. We're going to sprinkle a quarter unit, not even a half unit on this. We're at plus 2,100 odds, 21 to 1 odds on this. Go ahead and take Tony Gravely. You mentioned you liked him earlier. I'm telling you, I like him. He's on a parlay piece. Minus 240. Then we got Ronnie Barcelos, who I'm guarantee you will win this fight at minus 430. Then we have Jasmine Jesus, who this is more of a fade on K Hanson. I'm not really that high on K Hanson. I think she's at that value. I think it's a 50-50 fight. If you give me plus 200 odds, I'm gonna take it, put on a parlay. Then we have Matt FREVOLA, the veteran. Shout out to Team Sarah Longo. I think he's gonna get it done. Fighting another Dana White Contender Series guy. Fade the Dana White Contender Series continues. Then we have Rodolfo Vieira. This one kind of sketches me out, knowing how many sharps are on TURMAN, but I think he wins. I think Vieira 2.0, he looked good against Stolfus. His striking looked better, but I think he's going to stick to the game plan and grind out a decision here. Then we have the underdog, DEIVESON FIGUEIREDO, and new, again, champion, plus 155 to beat Brandon Moreno. All these to hit, plus 21 odds, plus 21 to 1 odds.
Dude, that's such a good pick. And for those of you guys listening, if you just put $5 on this bet, that'll win you to collect $107.15. You put $2 in, I mean, you're almost looking at half that amount. It's one of those things, well, it's why not? It makes the fight much more interesting. And this is a good parlay card. I mean, I can't believe you're getting that much good of odds with all these.
And sometimes you just got to send it. And that's what inspired me to have the full send parlay on the podcast. with that, I think you mentioned. I think that's all of our bets. We have, I think, 19 units on this card, man. So watch, follow us on Twitter at AnyAction_, because we're gonna be live tweeting during the fights. Can't miss. Pay-per-view is nothing like having your heart race during the live bet. You know, we know we missed it during the long hiatus, but I think you mentioned off air, man. You had some questions you want to ask me as we wrap up UFC 270.
I just got a little topics, you know, like this is it for the card. You guys can go ahead and skip on. We're just gonna go ahead and do some, you know, just MMA news stuff that's trending right now. So I gotta ask, did you hear about Miesha Tate moving down to 125? You know, you got any quick thoughts on that?
I don't like it. I think it's a bad sign. To me, it's a little much to just lose one fight and then boom, change weight classes. But if she can make it, then she can make it. I think she went on, Ariel's show or someone's show, and she was talking about how she walks around like 140-ish. You know, just manageable weight cut for sure. I think she's booked, man. She's booked with Lauren Murphy. And I will say, if she wins that fight, she's going to get a title shot. So, actually, low-key genius move.
I mean, I think jumping weight classes is good, especially for an athlete like Miesha Tate that's been in the game for a long time. You just got to try new things. You got to try new routes. You see it with Cody Garbrandt. You know, it may or may not work. It may work against you. We'll see how she can handle the weight cut. I mean, that's all. It depends on the weight cut. And, you know, when people cut weight in high school, they're usually doing it to, you know, avoid a certain person that's in their weight class that, you know, that may be elite. So they may say, hey, this is an open class for me. I can see a better championship route. So people don't just drop weight because they wake up one morning and say, I want to drop weight class. They do it because, you know, they can see a better path. Maybe there's more wins in that route.
Dude, exactly. Jose Aldo did it. He's like, oh, well, can't be Max Holloway, can't be Volkanovski. I'm going to go ahead and make a title run, which he did. He ended up fighting for a title, lost, but still at 135. So.
You talking about Henry? Dude, you talking about Henry Cejudo?
No, I'm talking about Jose Aldo.
Oh, Jose Aldo. Okay.
Yeah, Jose Aldo. He lost to Peter Yan.
Was it?
Henry Cejudo won.
Dude, Henry's so funny. Every time he does like he's flexing two hands, biceps, and he goes, I just love that, dude. Henry is so funny, dude. Speaking of Henry, dude, Henry calling out Dana. I think, wow, this kind of went a little bit too deep. I mean, I'm starting to, I love Dana White. I think he's huge for the sport, but I'm starting to feel some type of way towards Dana now. What do you think about Henry calling out Dana and Dana almost turning him down?
He's never gonna get what he wants. He wants to fight, but he was saying, "Oh, they have to pay me." Like, dude, I don't even think the UFC wants you to fight. Like, honestly, like you weren't a draw. You were tired at your prime, and they don't like that. I mean, to me, there's nothing.
Not only did he retire at his prime, sorry, he retired during the pandemic. He retired during a prime where they needed him. You know, he retired during a time where new fans are tuning in and they're seeing a champion just call it a day.
Martin, he retired at a time where the division took off. You have Peter Yan, you have Aljamain Sterling, you have Corey Sanders, you have TJ Dillashaw, you have Jose Aldo making a run. You have Merab Dvalishvili. You have these guys that are just killing it. That division is so stacked. They have unranked guys that are really good. And yeah, like you said, he's a double champ, leaves, just finished Dominic Cruz, which, you know, all because of was it alcohol and cigarettes? No, I'm just joking. He finished him. That was clean. But no, there is some sort of, like you said, tension or like, you know, back and forth. They're not on good terms. But I will say the UFC is not going to bend the knee to Henry Cejudo. He's out of his mind if he thinks that he's going to get like the bag or whatever. Because I think he mentioned he talked about Khabib, how when he told Khabib how much he was making, Khabib was like, "What the hell? That's crazy." I was like, "Yeah, dude," because